We are talking touchdowns. I'm your host, Spread Astaire, joined as always by Tyler Hicks at TH412 underscore on Twitter. Tyler, we did the AFC last week. No, we did the NFC last week. We are doing the AFC today, and we did that for a reason. The AFC is a lot better than the NFC, let's be honest. So let's give it your overall thoughts, and then we'll go team by team with these teams. Go ahead. What are your thoughts here on the AFC, the obviously stacked conference in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, AFC is definitely by far the stacked conference. Just to give the people a little reason, I'm going to be a little all over the place in this video. Got a home draft going on one screen, a best ball draft going on the other, but we're going to get this AFC broken down for you. So if I'm looking different ways, that's what's going on. But yeah, just like you said, Spread, AFC, way better side. NFC probably has, maybe 1 to 2 teams that threaten the Super Bowl. You look at the AFC, there's maybe 4 to 5 teams that could come out and just make the Super Bowl, win it, and then there's sleepers in the AFC that I think could come out and win the Super Bowl also. So it's going to be a fun breakdown. I think we're going to be torn on some of these teams, but I know there is one team, Spread, that we are going to be the same one, and I can't wait to talk about them.
All right, well, let's dive in. Let's go by odds to win the championship. I think that would be the best way to do it. Now, in the NFC, there are 2 teams that are higher than the favorite. Oh, wait, this is the odds to win the AFC championship. That's fine. On the other side, the Phillies were plus 300 to win the NFC. The Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning Super Bowl champions, are at plus 400 to win the NFC. Tyler, a 25% win rate there. What do you think? Are the Chiefs a good bet here at plus 400, or is this priced correctly?
I mean, plus 400 might be a little low now that Travis Kelce hyperextended his knee. Spread. Early day news. Might only miss a few weeks, but it's still big for them when they don't have all these weapons around. So I wouldn't play it at 4-1. And Chris Jones is also sitting out. So that could be something that just lingers. Their defense might not be the same. We've seen their defense struggle early in the year, and they slowly pick up towards the end. So I would wait and maybe play their numbers later in the year and approach it that way. So not going to play them early in the year, maybe week 6 or week 7 when they look like they're finally starting to put it on, and that's when I would approach them and play them.
I think they're in big problems if Kelsey's out. And I think you're opposite because we had talked a little earlier. We just had a fun show with Simon over on Heat Seeker Sports, so that will be out soon. But I said I think they're dead without Kelsey. You think as long as they've got Mr. Patrick Mahomes, they're fine. Why don't you go ahead and expound on that a little bit? Because I think that my side's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes we're talking about, best quarterback. I know our guy Simon talked about it on the Heat Seeker show. We haven't seen Mahomes really elevate wide receivers to be good. Hill's already had the talent. Kelsey's had the talent. The other thing is, too, is you look at the receivers he was given outside of those 2, it's like, how much could you elevate Marquez Valdes-Scantling? I feel like he's already at his ceiling. How much could you elevate Sky Moore when he was in a very, discrete package? They just didn't give him a ton of plays. So I think if they open up the playbook, there's some wide receivers there, too, I think he can make look very good. If Justin Ross is healthy, I mean, man, that dude could be a stud. He was one of the best receivers in that class coming out. So injury's the only thing that held him back. I think a guy like Richie James is going to be Patrick Mahomes' best friend. He's the guy that just finds the space, gets in the open, and just gets right in front of the quarterback when the quarterback's moving around. We know Mahomes likes to run left to right, find the open space. Richie James is going to be his guy. I think in week 1, we talk about it. Anytime touchdowns, Kelsey's probably not playing Thursday. Somebody's got to score for this KC team. Sky Moore's going to be an obvious one, but I think Richie James at 4-1 is going to be one that could be a very good play for an anytime touchdown on Thursday.
If Kelsey goes down and Mahomes continues to put up those unreal numbers that he's had all year, I mean, how much is that going to boost his stock? So obviously something we'll be monitoring, but you made a great point because of the potential for the slow start. Even if you're high on the Chiefs, maybe this isn't the best time to enter the market, right? And we're here on the Keg channel. And what is Keg really? One of the best things he's at? Market entry point, right? Which is why he's so good at live betting. So we're going to take a little page out of his playbook and find a better entry point. Even if you're high on the Chiefs, which I am, you make a good point that this is not the time to bet on them. Obviously, with this news, the odds have shifted a little bit. You're getting a little less value here on these next couple teams, but the Cincinnati Bengals are ahead of the Buffalo Bills. They're plus 500. The Bills are plus 550. But let's kind of lump them together because, they're fighting for, who will be the second favorite here. I think I agree with the books that the Bengals should be there. But I'm a little worried, Tyler, because of the way the season ended for the Bills, that I'm undervaluing that team. Last year at this time, we absolutely loved this team. Not a lot has changed here. Who do you like better, the Bengals or the Bills? And do you like either of them?
Give me the Bills all day spread.
Okay,
I just think you just look at the Bills season last year. Defense riddled with injuries. Von Miller went down. Both safeties went down. The DeMar Hamlin situation happened late in the year. They had so much going on around this team. And then the Josh Allen stuff that happened right before the playoff game with his girlfriend and all that stuff the night before the playoff game.
I assume that's his ex-girlfriend now?
Yes. And he no longer lives at that address.
For those who don't know, Tyler told me, I didn't realize this either. Supposedly, allegedly, all of Josh Allen's belongings were thrown out of his home the night before the playoff game as some of his extracurricular activities came to light. Did she time this, Tyler? Did she know about this for like 3 months? Yeah, catch him in November and say, "I'm going to get you."
She kept them until the playoffs. Put the hammer down on Cincy, threw all his stuff out. That could have been a good game plan there and make some money. So yeah. I like Buffalo better. The defense is going to be healthier. Everyone's talking about Von Miller still not going to be there. Well, the other guys that weren't there are going to be there now. So I think their defense is better. Cincy lost some pieces off of their defense. They're going to have some holes they have to fill, and they're trying to fill them with rookies and one-year guys. Those spots could just be wide open for Cincy's defense. Burrow's already dealing with a calf injury. You didn't see him at all in the preseason. You seen him injure the calf in the first workout, nothing in the preseason, and now they're expecting him to play week 1. I think this could get weird, and you could see Burrow go down with an injury. You had Chase talking, saying he didn't want Burrow until week 5. He wanted him at 100%. Does he know something that we don't, that injury's worse than we think? It's just something to keep an eye on, and I think Josh Allen's a lot more durable than Joe Burrow, so give me Buffalo here. I think they're out for something to prove this year.
I'm on the opposite side. I'm never betting against Joe Burrow. To me, that guy is the closest thing I've seen to Joe Montana. He's just so cool under pressure. Always seems to get it done. So I like the Bengals a little more. You like the Bills. I think there's good arguments on both sides. Any more on these two teams, or do we want to talk about the other two darlings in the AFC East that are both coming in at plus 900?
No, I mean, I think you could take shots on both the quarterbacks to win the MVP. I think we're both going to be on opposite sides of who we like for that bet. And I don't mind taking either.
I don't know. I think I like Allen MVP a little more.
Yeah, I think so too. Allen's one of my guys I'm probably going to lock in for MVP.
Yeah, I think statistically I'll have a better year. I just think if we're talking to win the AFC Championship, these teams might face each other, and I just love Burrow in those playoff settings. But I've said it before. I think Allen's going to be the number 1 fantasy QB this year, which would mean he'd have the best statistics. So I think I disagree with – I agree with you on that one, but I'm going to take the Bengals. You're going to take the Bills. At plus 900, the two up-and-comers in the AFC East, of course, the Miami Dolphins, who had a certain modicum of success this year under now a second-year coach, Mike McDaniel. Played the Bills surprisingly tough there in the playoffs, and I got that one wrong. I thought they were going to get absolutely smoked in that game. And they've done something that you know how much I really love my defensive coordinators, Tyler. Vic Fangio going to this defense is huge. Arguably the best defensive coordinator in the game. I don't think it's arguable that he's the top 5 defensive coordinator. Now you let McDaniels, he only plays one side of the ball. Let's him coordinate offense. And he's got an OG there over on defense. That's got to be a huge upgrade. I'm buying the Miami Dolphins becoming a lot better with these offseason moves. The Jets are a team that I'm not necessarily buying. I'm worried about Rodgers at his advanced age. I'm worried about that defense regressing a little more. It feels like everything went right, but who knows? I mean, if they won 7 games with Zach Wilson and Mike White, what will they do with A-Rod back there? So of these two teams, Tyler, if you tell me take a plus 900, I love the Dolphins a lot more than the Jets. Am I underselling the Jets here?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you just look at their schedule. They're playing a very tough schedule. I don't think defense is as easy to replicate in the NFL as, say, offense. And the Jets' defense played lights out last year. They made 0 mistakes. They look like one of the top units. I could see Sauce Gardner maybe giving up some touchdowns this year. He was absolutely lights out. DJ Reed was on the other side. These guys are bound to make mistakes this year. We just see it in every sport. You just can't keep going and going and going. The Bears defense, for instance, that 1 year spread, you guys traded Khalil Mack to them. They looked like they were going to be a historically good defense. The next year, that all disappeared. They just weren't that same unit anymore. So I could see that happening with the Jets here. I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to be on the Dolphins. But it's very hard because we're one injury away from being done. If you count me for Tua being there all season, he's going to play us 17 games. I think they're the better team than the Jets. I think they have the better defense. I think they have the better weapons. But one wrong hit and he's done. So I'm going to lean towards Miami, but it's with a lot of risk with Tua. And I know we talk about comeback player of the year. Everyone wants to bet the minus 350 on Hamlin. Tua 20-1, if he does play the whole year and they're a top 3 seed, he's going to put his name in that bag at 20-1. So I don't hate that at all.
Yeah. And we talked about it before. And of course, combat sports enthusiasts that we are, we know that these concussions are cumulative, right? And back in the day, right, in the 50s, they didn't know. They just call a guy punch drunk. Now we know when you get a concussion, you're more likely to get another one. So obviously, Tua very vulnerable here. The key to that team, we talked about with the Packers, the NFC preview, the Packers, it comes down to how well Jordan Love plays. For the Dolphins, it's can Tua stay healthy? If he can, that 9-1's looking nice, but that's a huge if there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him go down again, especially in a division full of stout defenses, right? Even though, we're going to get down to it, and I know we're opposite there on the Patriots, but they're still going to bring the boom on the defense. It's can their offense allow them to stay competitive. So tough spot for Tua to be in down there going against some of these formidable defensive lines. Next up is the Baltimore Ravens at 10-1. I love the Ravens for regular season. I'm high on them to go over their regular season win total. I don't know if I believe in them as a playoff team, and we talk about kind of the key questions for each team, right? For Miami, can Tua stay healthy? For Baltimore, it's how will new offensive coordinator Todd Monken, is this going to be fantastic or is this going to be terrible? And the idea is, was Greg Roman limiting Lamar Jackson by running that run-based scheme, the one that he installed for Colin Kaepernick, one read and go, making it very easy, a lot of big plays, using the explosiveness on the legs? Or was Greg Roman holding him back, and is Monken going to unlock Lamar's passing potential? So to me, Tyler, whether or not you're interested in this 10-1 is the answer to that question. How do you think Lamar fares in this new system brought over by Todd Monken?
I think it's going to have its growing pains spread. I think that it could work, but I think it's going to take some time. I don't think it worked right off the bat. I think he's going to still default to running the ball more. He's going to get in them spots where he starts to scramble. He just tucks the ball and he runs away. It's just nature to these kind of guys that run the ball like this. He knows it's his best weapon. Even with him wanting to throw more, he knows his legs. He knows he can get away from these guys. So I think it's going to take some growing pains. I don't trust their weapons as much. We've seen Bateman get hurt a lot. Odell Beckham's made of glass. Everyone's on Zay Flowers. I'm not even sure he's the best rookie wide receiver out there. It's just tough for me. And their defense spread, it's a weak unit from what it used to be. I don't see them being able to stop teams like they used to. If they're going to blitz too, their pass coverage is terrible. Marlon Humphrey's already hurt. Their safeties are all right. Their corners are absolutely terrible. They're not going to be able to cover anything. A bet for me, screw that 10-1 on them to win the AFC spread. I want a line on them to finish 4th in the AFC North. They could win 9 games and finish 4th in the AFC North.
By making that bet, you're telling me that you're high on the Browns, which is something I am not, but we will get to them in order. The next one on that slot here, now the Los Angeles Chargers are at 11-1. Tyler, there's no way I'm betting on the Chargers to come through in a pressure-packed situation. I'm fine ignoring this. There's actually teams lower here on the board that I'd much rather have the ticket for. Namely even the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is a team I'm not necessarily that high on to win the AFC. But talk to me, Tyler. Is this the year, right? We see Joe Burrow do it, right? Because what I'm saying this bet is like the Chargers. Like they've never come through. They've always had problems with choking. They've always had problems in pressure pack situations. They've always had the worst medical staff in the league. They have one of the cheapest owners in the league. But Joe Burrow was able to come over the ineptitude that is the Cincinnati Bengals organization, that is the ineptitude that is the Cincinnati Bengals front office. And Joe Burrow's turned that team legit. Can Justin Herbert do the same thing? And am I making a mistake here by just rolling my eyes when I see an 11-1 Chargers ticket?
No, I can't pull the trigger preseason just because we know what happens with the Chargers, how they've played the last few years, and just injuries have just riddled this team. Wide receiver room looks great, but the main two guys are made of glass. You couldn't win with a rookie contract, Herbert, or we sure we're going to win with the most expensive quarterback in the league version of Herbert. I know they get the new offensive coordinator. He should air out the ball more, but you've seen Kellen Moore likes to he likes to mix and match it. He likes to run the ball a little bit. They won't air it out as much. He's not going to throw the ball 50 plus times in a game anymore. So I think that they're going to be middle of the pack. Injuries is big for this team. They will be a team I monitor, though. If they are fully healthy going into the end of the year and heading for playoff spread and they look good, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. But the biggest problem is they have no home field no matter where they play. They could play in their backyard. Week 1, for instance, what's it going to be? 60-40 Miami Dolphins fans in LA? They just don't have fans. So I don't see it. I'm going to wait and see with the Chargers. There's no way you can pull a trigger on them preseason.
I completely agree there. Jacksonville Jaguars, I guess they got a chance. I just don't necessarily think this price is right. 12-1's not enough to get me interested here. One concern for the Jaguars is they could potentially mow through one of the weaker divisions and then just not be ready for the level of play that they'll see in the playoffs. We talked about it, right? A little bit earlier today. They were kind of lucky, right? We're going back to the Chargers chargering
Kind of
for them
lucky.
to even make the second round here. A lot of things went right there, but those are the type of things that maybe build some confidence in that building. I love Lawrence. I love what they've done on offense. I love Peterson. I'm just worried if they have enough talent on the defensive end to really compete with some of these big boys like the Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills. So I like a Jaguars ticket more than Chargers ticket, but still not something I'm interested in. What do you think? 12-1. Any interest in jumping in on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and how do you think they do this year?
I think they do well this year, but my thing is just like you said, they got lucky in the playoffs, and not just the playoffs, Ray. We can just look back to certain regular season games they got lucky. They went to overtime with Dallas, a pick six to win it in overtime. Like, how often does that happen? They do the same exact thing in week 18, pick six, win the game. Then you go down, 24-0 in a playoff game, and you come back and win the game. Like, they had a horseshoe up their ass to end the season last year. They're going to be good this year. Lawrence is going to be good. They're going to run a nice offense with Ridley there. He's going to look solid. So I like their team, but I'm not pulling the trigger on them 12-1 either. I think they have a threat to win the Super Bowl, but I think they're in that tier.
At what point? I mean, I think they should be 18-1 or higher before I make that bet.
Yeah, I need at least 18 or 20.
So here's another one that I'm not interested at all. Cleveland Browns are ahead of the Steelers.
No way.
You got to be kidding me. They're 16-1. The Steelers are 22-1. I mean, I don't know. I like that Steelers 22-1 better. Talk to me about the AFC North. Your hometown team, the Steelers, and of course the Cleveland Browns and their embattled quarterback. Will he ever overcome those allegations and be seen as a non-weirdo ever again?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the Browns first. I mean, the team hinges on Deshaun Watson. Everything else looked good last year. Their lowest graded player at the end of last year was Deshaun Watson. I know he was suspended most of the year. Didn't show up till, week 12. So, dude didn't play football for almost 2.5 years. Finally shows up. Doesn't get to practice with the team the whole year and then just has to wing it for the last, 6 weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to bounce back. I think that team's going to be good. But now we move over to Pittsburgh. And this has become everyone's darling through the preseason and the offseason. Everyone loves the way Pickett looks. Everyone loves the way Pickens looks. No one's talking about wide receiver 1 here in Deontay Johnson. The dude put up historic numbers last year, but he couldn't score a touchdown. Nobody's caught that many passes or had that many yards and never got in the end zone. He's going to have positive regression there, score a bunch of touchdowns this year. That'll open up stuff for Pickens. You have Freiermuth playing the tight end spot. They drafted Darnell Washington, who's a giant human being, to play the other tight end spot. Great blocker, could also get out in routes and catch jump balls. The offense is going to be great. the defense is going to also be solid. They have depth on the defensive side. In the third round, they spent a draft pick on another edge rusher that looks elite, that adds to Highsmith and Watt. So this team's going to be a problem. My only worry, though, is I thought they were going to fly under the radar a little bit. It doesn't seem like they're going to do that, and this has become everyone's darling leading into the season. I hear people giving them Super Bowl chances, conference championship chances. My farthest I'm giving them spread is I think they could win the division. They win the division, maybe win a playoff game. I don't think they get past the Bills or the Chiefs in a playoff matchup, though. So I think
I agree with you there. Give me that division winner. I'm not taking this.
Yeah, I can't stretch it farther than that. But yeah, division winner for sure. Love it at the price they have.
And there's one thing that you left out in that breakdown, Tyler. The best coach since Vince Lombardi. That's right. Mike Tomlin at the helm.
Seasons for spreads guy.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Yeah. I mean, the Browns, I don't know. I think the Browns will be in last place in that division. I think that messed with Deshaun's mentality. I don't know if he's the same guy that he once was. And yeah, hey, hopefully I'm wrong. I'd like to see more quarterbacks, good quarterbacks than bad quarterbacks. But that could be tough to overcome, right? And I talked to you a little about it before. It used to be everyone loves you everywhere you go. Now people are kind of shying away from you, talking about you. That's the weirdo. That's the weirdo. Right?
Don't talk to that guy.
Yeah, waitress just give the check and run away before you can reach it out. All right, the next one here, and now we're really going into the dregs of the AFC. The Denver Broncos are at 25-1. There's absolutely no way I'm touching this ticket. So at this point, obviously, we're not going to bet. I don't know. You're not going to bet any of these long shots from here on out in the division, right? But talk to me about the Broncos season, and they are 25-1 to win the AFC.
I mean, I think Sean Payton's going to improve some things, but I think something not a lot of people are talking about. Everyone's like, oh, Russ is going to improve. Russ is going to improve. Are we sure about that? Yeah. They signed Jarrett Stidham in the offseason, who looked great as a Raider to end the season last season. 2 years, $10 million. You don't pay your backup quarterback that much money just to stand around and do nothing. I know Russ got a giant bag of money when he showed up in Denver. Sean Payton had nothing to do with that bag of money. If he goes out there and starts to coach his team and he likes what he's seeing from the weapons around Russ and Russ just can't get him the ball, he's going to pull the plug on him, bench him, and get Stidham out there and make sure this team looks good. The defense carried this team last year. We talked about it with the Jets. Can a defense just replicate what they did last year and just carry a team the whole way? I'm not sure about that. I think they regress a little bit. Still think they could be a solid unit, though. But they're in a very tough division. I think they're in a worse spot than, say, the Ravens or the Steelers are, or the Browns in that AFC North. Like, I don't see them getting past the Chiefs at all. They're going to have a problem with the Chargers. And they're better than the Raiders. But if the Raiders are healthy, that could be a problem team for them. So I'm out on Denver. They're a wait-and-see team for me. But I don't think – maybe they make a wild card spot. I don't think they make any noise in the playoffs.
This is Talking Touchdowns. I'm Spread Astaire, joined by Tyler Hicks. Guys, give us the thumbs up. And I'm pretty sure you're subscribed. But if you're not, go ahead and rectify that mistake. Subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified every time we go live. And if you like money, this is the spot to be as the Sports Keg continues to just absolutely crush on those live shows. Tyler, I mean, boy. He's treating the sport of NASCAR like an ATM. So make sure you get subscribed and you will go ahead and get notified every single time we go live. I see some guys in the chat. My guy, Matty Ice, what's up? Boogie Nights, Mike Whalen. I see Clyde in here. Clyde, yeah, we'll get some of your questions. We might be, I don't know if we'll do a Survivor today, but we'll definitely have some stuff up. Damon Santor's in here. I see the Sports Keg himself. My guy, Joey Work. Best baseball better. I know. Connor Butler, Viral Video, Jonathan Nelson, Rolk Air. Happy to have you here as we continue to go through the AFC. We're getting down here towards the bottom. Tyler, the Patriots are 33-1 to win the AFC. I have no interest in that, but I did take over on their win total. But I don't know if you joined me on that one, did you? I don't know how high you were on me taking the Patriots over 7 wins games. I think this addition to Bill O'Brien's going to be huge. Mac Jones goes back to that rookie progression that he has where he's a serviceable quarterback. He's never going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league, in my opinion. But you surround him with a strong run game and a good defense, and I think he can do enough to get some wins. And that's, of course, moving the chains on third downs while avoiding turnovers. I think Max got that potential under a man that is, to me, unfairly maligned because he was a terrible GM. But Bill O'Brien won the division 4 out of the 5 years. He was with Houston, then goes over with Saban, runs a fantastic offense there. Belichick, we can see he's getting towards the end of his rope with that, having Patricia be the OC here. But he's still arguably the best defensive coordinator in the game. I like over 7 on the Patriots, not necessarily saying they're going to be a playoff team, not saying they're going to get a playoff win or be back to their former glory. But you are out on this team. Tell us why.
Yeah, fully out on this team. It's a Bill Belichick-led team. Could they win 7 games? Yes. I think we've talked about with defenses. I think their defense takes a giant step back. I think their offense improves without Mike Patricia calling plays. I mean, he's a terrible play caller. Mac Jones should look a little bit better. But I'm just not sure Mac Jones is all that good of a player. I mean, anybody could have threw the ball to the wide receivers he had at Alabama and handed the ball to Najee behind that offensive line they had. Now he gets to New England. He's got to be the guy that makes these receivers better. I mean, his best guy out there is Juju Smith-Schuster, who they say his knee is almost a WMD at this point. They said the Army's keeping an eye on that. Just looking at it, their schedule's tough. I don't see them winning 7 games, but it's a Belichick-led team. They're going to win games they shouldn't. Not going to play the under here, but going to stay away from the over. Could see them winning exactly 7 games.
I'm high on the over. I'm fine betting on Bill Belichick. So at this point, we got to find other ways to bet these teams because we're not taking the Tennessee Titans at 50-1 to win the AFC. Am I right, Tyler? But here's another team that I took the over on their win total. I do think they're going to exceed expectations. 2 years ago, Tannehill was a top 5 quarterback in the league statistically, even though by watching with our eyes, we knew he wasn't one of the best 5 players. But he can get it done. DeAndre Hopkins plays that A.J. Brown role, which is huge because what are we doing there? We're getting contested catches, right, where Tannehill can go ahead. We don't need a ton of separation. That should open things up for Treylon Burks, who I was high on last season, but definitely struggled to adjust, especially with all the extra attention that he was getting. We know who Derrick Henry is, but even if Henry slips up or misses some games, they got Tyjae Spears has been fantastic. Now, the O-line hasn't been that good, but I trust we're able to get these guys going. And once again, I expect this defense to be good. Another team that I'm not interested in when we're doing these conference long shots, but I do believe they'll go over their win total. What are your thoughts on the Titans, Tyler?
I don't like them to win the conference spread, but give me them to win the division, like we said, Pittsburgh. And I think they go over their win total. They were the most injured team in the NFL last year. Their defense was riddled with injuries. Ryan Tannehill was throwing the ball to just no-name wide receivers. Now they have 2 guys. You got Hopkins on one side, you got Burks on the other. If those guys stay healthy, which they will be for week 1, it's going to be tough to cover them both. You got Chig running the tight end spot. Mm-hmm. He's another guy. You got both the running backs, Henry and Spears, which I think they're even going to motion Spears out and get him into the pass-catching mode. So this offense is going to look decent. I don't think it's just going to be a lights out, score a bunch of points, but they're going to be able to keep up with some of these teams. The defense is going to look great. It's a Vrabel-led team. They got bodies on that defense. They're going to be able to get to the quarterback. They can play coverage pretty decent. I think they win that division spread. They have a very easy schedule. It's easier than the Jags. And when you just go through, you kind of fall into like 10, 11 wins. So love the win total. Give me the division at like plus 340, and I'll be on them week 1 versus the Saints.
Yeah, I kind of like them in New Orleans too. That's going to be a huge game for Derek Carr in my mind. Because that's a game that he should win. But that's the type of game that he did not win consistently as a Raiders QB, and that's the reason he's no longer the Raiders QB. I see Clyde saying, don't sleep on Bailey Zappi. Clyde, are you aware that he got released? And if so, Tyler,
he's on the practice squad now.
For the Patriots still?
Yeah, they signed him. They signed both of them back, him and Malik Cunningham, both to the practice squad.
Okay, so I wasn't aware of that. And he does not agree with us on the Titans. We will see as this goes on, and of course, we will be here with the Sports Keg, and this is a preview edition. And I think we settled in on some Sunday morning action, right, Tyler? That's when we're going to do NFL content with Jay. We'll be going on, 2 hours before kick, and we'll take you about to an hour up until kick. Yep. We'll review all the line movements, where we're at on these games, what we're targeting, live spots we could be targeting, but we will be doing that all year. So, Clyde, if you're right and the Titans suck, you'll have plenty of opportunities to jump in the chat and do the victory lap. But I think the Titans are going to be pretty good. The Las Vegas Raiders, Tyler, another one. Hey, I'm not taking this 50-1 to win the AFC. That should be, 5,000 to 1, right? And that's probably about right. But I do think they're going to go over the win total. I was not high on them when we talked about this team earlier in the year and earlier previews we had done. But you know what changed me was watching Aiden O'Connell in preseason. And now I believe that when Jimmy Garoppolo eventually gets hurt, because that seems to always happen to him, right? Before I thought Brian Hoyer, we're absolutely dead. First pick overall. This Aiden O'Connell kid really looks like he can jump in. He reads the field really well, goes through his progressions well. He's not staring at receivers like C.J. Stroud. He's farther ahead, and as far as just his ability to read defenses and read the field, now obviously has nowhere near the physical capabilities of a C.J. Stroud. But his ability to read those defenses, I think he could step in and be a mid-level QB even as a rookie. So that's why I took the over on the Raiders, Tyler, even though in earlier preview I thought this team was going under. But I know what you're going to do. You're going to throw cold water all over me and tell me why I'm wrong and this team sucks. Let's hear it.
Yeah, they're not terrible when you look at them on paper spread, but they're like 3 injuries away from being the worst team in the league. Like, they're very thin at spots. The Aiden O'Connell kid, could he step in and just take over for Garoppolo and make him better? Yes. But I think it's just like you just see a snowball effect if these things start to happen. Like, Jimmy G goes down. They lose a couple games in a row. Devontae Adams is unhappy. He's demanding a trade. Like, you're just going to see so much start to snowball if this team starts to go down the drain that I don't think Aiden O'Connell stepping on the field is going to be able to just kick them right back into it. I think they max out at like 4 to 5 wins, and they definitely need to be in the business for one of these quarterbacks coming out next year because there is a stacked bunch of quarterbacks coming out in this draft class. Don't mess up and pick a Tyree Wilson again like they did last year when they should have picked Stroud. Even though they would have had to have traded up to get him, they should have did that.
We should not have taken Stroud.
They needed a quarterback spread.
He's an Ohio State quarterback. This is the NFL.
I'm not going to argue
Beating
that.
you with your own words. All right, Tyler, let's give him a sneak preview for a Sunday morning's show. Which, hey, Tyler, I'm going to be coming to you live from Las Vegas for week 1. So, we'll see whether I'm not using this background or maybe I have a cool little out of my hotel window. But that's going to be a lot of fun. But, Tyler, when I tell you that I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders +4 in Denver against the Broncos, and that's one of my favorite plays, how will you respond? Let's give them a sneak preview. Raiders versus Broncos, week 1 in Denver. Raiders catching 4.
I'm just going to tell you good luck, and I wish I could join you on that bet, but I can't for health reasons.
Oh, all right. That's fair. But let's say the proverbial $100. I give you $100. You have to pick a side. It's my money.
I'm probably taking the Raiders. Just give me the plus money.
Yeah, +4 in division. I felt like
haven't they beat the Broncos like so many times in a row?
They've beaten them 6 times in a row in 8 of their last 10.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my play. I'm going to probably even sprinkle a little money line as well because those are the type of wins I'm going to need if this team goes over their 6.5 win total. The Indianapolis Colts are 66-1 to win the AFC.
They're not dead last.
No, Houston Texans are dead last. Do you think they should be dead last?
I think they should be dead last.
Explain why.
I just like you could see the Anthony Richardson thing, like the experiment working like around him, like the JT situation, like Deion Jackson, Zach Moss. That's not going to win you any games. The offensive line was good 3 years ago. Last year, it just looked like it fell apart. Could they bounce back? Maybe, but I don't see it. The defense, there's really nothing there on the defensive side of the ball. So I think it's literally just a year where it's just like, show us what you got, Richardson. Like, what's their win total set at spread?
I'd have to double check.
I want like an alt under. Like I don't think his team.
I don't even think you can. Because it's so low already.
Yeah,
I'm pulling it up right now. It's 6.5.
Yeah, I don't think the team wins more than 4 games.
I bet the under 6.5 on that.
Yeah, give me an alt under 4.5. If whatever that price is, if it's like say plus 250 somewhere in there, I don't think they win 5 games. Like Anthony Richardson, I'm gonna be fully out on accuracy problems, big time. everyone's going to turn to Josh Allen and be like, oh, he was the guy that had the same thing. It's not the same.
It's not even close.
It's not even close. The coaching staff was so much better. And I'm also starting to think that nice little WWE reference for your spread. Dan Snyder on his way out of the NFL as an owner, he was crawling to the corner like the guys in the tag matches, and he popped up and he jumped up and he smacked Jim Irsay's hand and said, "You're tagged in as the dumbest owner in the league now." And we see what he's doing with Jonathan Taylor. I think this team's just in the drain for a few years. I don't see it. Give me an alt under. They ain't winning more than 5 games.
All right, I took the under at 6.5 there. And that's the easy one for me. You know, Tyler, we can go through those. I see my guy D Money in the chat. What's up? Hey, Matt.
I haven't seen our guy D Money in forever.
Love to see it. Yeah. We'll go over some of my win totals here to end the show because we're kind of jamming through this one here today. But that's fine. I think a lot of people know where they're at. They have their priors, and we're just having some fun talking some football. Getting ready for the season, Tyler. Only 2 more days of best ball drafts, and we get to kick off. And I'm going to be out in Vegas enjoying the festivities, and we'll see how it goes there. But definitely looking forward to that. The Houston Texans are last at plus 7,500. Boy, this team did not look good there in the fields. Now, I told you I have a ton of Dameon Pierce. My concern for that is this offensive line, which really wasn't that bad, but they took a ton of injuries during the offseason and the preseason. If this line's not healthy, it wasn't the most talented to begin with. Also, the defense being overhauled. But you got to like D'Amico Ryans. And I'll tell you what, I agree with you. I think they do have more upside than the Colts. That's probably mispriced. But once again, at this point, there's no way we're taking these 75 or 66 to 1. We're more looking at the regular season win totals. There's a 6.5 too, and I just smashed the under. I mean,
just of the teams that are like new coach, new setup, I kind of think that they could be the one that surprises and wins 7 games over like a Denver. Like, I'm not big on Stroud, but like D'Amico Ryans could be a great coach. The second draft pick they made in Will Anderson is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. When you look at those odds for Defensive Rookie of the Year, I know Sauce was able to pull it off last year. Corners just do not have those kind of years like he had last year. I instantly go into Defensive Player of the Year, cross off all the corners. If they beat me, they beat me. Closest guy is like 12 to 1. Jalen Carter out of the defensive tackle spot on a stacked Philly defense where he could just get all of his tackles for loss and his sacks eaten up at about 7 to 1. I could see it, but probably crossing him off too. That leaves me 2 guys spread. Your guy Tyree Wilson, who's already hurt, and Will Anderson at plus 430. I'm all over Will Anderson at plus 430. He's going to get at least 6 to 7 sacks, maybe more. Maybe even gets into double digits. If you get your double-digit sacks, you could lock up that Defensive Rookie of the Year. Their defense is going to look good. I think their offensive line is a little bit better. They have some nice guys on that line. I think they're going to be able to run the ball with Pierce. Stroud's just got to be content with the passes that they give him. Don't force anything. Don't turn over the ball too much, and just be a game manager for now until they get you better weapons.
All right, and to close out, Tyler, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to play rate my picks. You can give me a thumbs up and a thumbs down on all the regular season win totals, I bet. I'll go ahead and give those out here right now. I'm trying to pull it up. Maybe I have so many bookmaker doesn't want to pull it up. It keeps freezing. All right. I went over 6.5 on the Washington Commanders. Thumbs
Love
up,
it.
thumbs down.
Love it. 2 thumbs up.
Over 7.5 on the Tennessee Titans.
2 thumbs up spread. They're winning the AFC South. We're locking that in after the show.
Under 6.5 on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Love it. Love it, but it's one of those ones where like week 7, week 8, it's like, they're motivated and they actually look like they're playing well.
And full disclosure, right? Tyler and I have been prepping for the NFL together all offseason. So he's going to like a lot of these, but I'm waiting for some that he's going to pan my picks. Maybe it's this one. Over 9 on the Seattle Seahawks.
Weak division. They should be able to beat up on the Rams. I like over there because they should pick up the easy 2 wins on the Cardinals too.
All right. I might hate this one. Under 11.5 on the San Francisco 49ers.
What was that one?
Under 11.5 on the 49ers.
Love it because they do this thing every year. Spread. It's like 1 year they're either Super Bowl or NFC Championship game, and then the next year injuries destroy them. Well, they were in the NFC Championship game last year.
If Bosa holds out, I just figure I got great value there, and it can still hit even if he doesn't. I took over 11 on the Philadelphia Eagles.
Love it. I think they're going to win I think they win 13 games, and I think they win it all this year.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Under 9.5 on the New York Jets.
It's a tough one, but I think it could get there. I would rather wait. Well, maybe you could play that win total this way, spread. They start off. Well, the only problem is you're on the other side. I was going to say,
that's why I had to get it.
If you maybe left it alone and then you played the over after they lose like 4 of their first 5 games.
Yeah,
and then they just start rattling off wins.
Yeah. All right, 8 for the Giants. Over 8. One of my biggest bets.
Under.
Yeah, we're different there. Tell me why you're not high on the Giants and you think I made a mistake.
I just don't see the room for improvement, really. Like, I know it's like, oh, they made the most of what they had. It's like, but they didn't add anything in the offseason.
Except for Darren Waller.
Who's going to be there for like 3 weeks before his leg falls off.
All right. Over 9.5 on the Saints. I know we were under when we talked about them earlier on one of our previews, Tyler. But, bro, I went and looked at that schedule. It's so easy.
Yeah. Oh, it's super easy. After looking at it, I mean, I think they do go over, but it's Dennis Allen we're talking about. Never had a winning season as a coach. Would it really surprise me if Derek Carr's actually like worse than what we thought, and it's a Dennis Allen-led team, and there goes the Falcons or the Carolina Panthers to win the NFC South?
Over 9.5 on the Jaguars.
Like it. I think they win at least 10. They win at least 10, yeah.
We already talked about these two as part of our preview, but I took under 6.5 on both the Texans and the Colts. I went over 10 on the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're going to have a great regular season and fold in the playoffs again.
It's the only other team in the NFC I think has a chance of getting to the Super Bowl and making noise is the Dallas Cowboys outside of Philly.
We talked about this earlier, but we disagree here. I took under 9 on the Cleveland Browns.
I don't disagree or agree with you. I feel like it's like right in that range. And it's Cleveland we're talking about, spread. I don't want to bet anything preseason with them. I got to see how Watson looks before I even touch that team.
Over 11.5 on the Bengals. Could get burned here if Joe Burrow misses some games.
I'm going under. I think their defense is a little weaker this year, and I do think he ends up missing some games.
Yeah, so I did get plus 127 on
And
that.
if he doesn't miss games, I think he starts off really rusty, not being able to do any practice or any preseason play before the season started.
He didn't have a problem with that before, though. He's missed every preseason, it feels like.
I mean, the Steelers absolutely destroyed him in week 1 last year. What did he throw, 5 picks?
Oh, yeah, great point. Great point. All right, over 8.5 on the Vikings. I know you disagree with that. What's up, Jonathan Nelson? I took the over.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I'm more on the Green Bay side in the NFC North, so, and I think it only takes 9 to 10 wins to win it, so I'm under on the Vikings there.
Yeah, my Tomlin guy, Brian Flores, there, gonna shore up that Minnesota Vikings defense. You already know this one's coming. Under 9.5 on the Chargers. I'll just fade the Chargers for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's the West Coast in you. You're fading the Chargers. You already know like 5 of the guys are hurt. They're all gonna roll into the season and just roll over, and just we'll see Josh Palmer and Josh Kelly and those guys out there. So.
All right, we already discussed this one earlier. I took over 6.5 with the Raiders. Let's move to the Chiefs because we kind of talked about them, the Super Bowl odds, and not the regular season win total. I bet it at 11.5. Obviously, it's off the board right now with the uncertainty, and it probably is going to come back up at 10.5. So I'm probably not going to get some CLV there. I know there's uncertainty here, but do your best, rate the bet. Do you think that they go over or under that 11.5?
I do think they go over. Like for a team that won the Super Bowl first place schedule.
Yeah,
it's not all that hard spread. Like they could roll into like week 9 and be 9-0, and it wouldn't surprise anyone. So I still think they go over the win total, even if Kelsey misses 3 to 4 weeks.
All right, fantastic. I took over 7.5 on your Green Bay Packers, Tyler. As we talked about this, how are they and the Bears the same? I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I when you look at week 1 lines, I don't get how the Bears are favored. That's the biggest overreaction in the offseason. That Bears team still stinks.
I agree. So I took over on the both are at 7.5. I took over on the Packers, under on the Bears. I took over 9.5 on the Detroit Lions. That's my.
I don't hate it, but
I don't love it either. That was a smaller bet.
How much more hype can this team get? Like they had it all last year, not all this year. Like I think the team underachieves this year. I think they maybe sneak in the playoffs as a wild card. I think Green Bay wins the division, though.
All right. I have to agree with you there. So there you go. There's my preview, and Tyler rated my things. Not surprisingly, obviously, because we do so much prep together. He liked a lot of my bets, but we can revisit those as the season goes because we do have teams that we differ on. So our next appearance on this channel, I'll be in Las Vegas, but we'll still be coming to you live. It'll be 8 a.m. for me, Tyler, 11 o'clock for you, right? And we'll be going over the full week 1 cards. By that time, we'll have done our playbook. We'll have the projections up, and we will have the winners ready to give to you. So, Tyler, go ahead. Any last thoughts on the AFC, the NFL season in general before we sign off?
I mean, it should be a fun season. Definitely subscribe to the channel so you can watch all the videos. We'll be here. Well, we'll be here Sunday morning. We'll be here Monday to do the recap and the Monday night review. We'll have shows on Wednesdays, maybe even dropping a Thursday show. So subscribe to the channels. Follow us on Twitter at th412_ and @spreadastair. That's where you'll get all the news at. Just follow that, and we're going to have a fun NFL season over here on the Sports Cake channel.
All right. There you have it. We will be back Sunday morning. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you then.